Geeks with Kids, the bi-weekly geeky podcast from a parenting point of view. Joining me this week is David, Hawk, and Vocal Tombs. Brittany, hi, Britt. Hiya, guys. How's it going? Hi. You know what? I'm just super
These
hyped.
fucking tombs are real fucking, like, they're real uppity. They won't shut up.
Tombs. Yeah, sorry. I'm still a little bit hyped up because we just finished watching The Last of Us, but I wanted to do this Mandalorian episode before, we forget about it, because the finale of The Last of Us next week, and as soon as that happens, my brain's just going to fully erase.
Gonna scramble like an egg.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, and it's going to scramble the internet, and I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, how's it going, guys? Things are good?
Yeah. I like our watch parties.
Yeah, it's very chill. I really want to invite that the editor of The Last of Us to join us next week. I feel like
you should.
He likes our tweets
I'm gonna
all
annoy
the time.
the shit out of him though, because I'm gonna be like, "This isn't the game," and he'll be like, "Shh, watch."
He's like, "We're not at that. I didn't even edit this episode. Let me watch this episode."
Yeah, right. You can invite him if you want.
Yeah, I might.
Watch
he has liked every single tweet we've done about The Last of Us. Every single one, and I love him for that. Timothy Good,
right?
And a bunch of other people actually, like the DP and some other people. Weird how that happens. Anyway, so this week we're going to talk about The Mandalorian because it premiered last Wednesday, and damn, I liked it. So I wanted to talk about
Loved it too.
We'll see. David hasn't said anything, which worries me. We're not going to do.
Worst episode ever.
We're not going to do what's good or anything like that because I just want to go straight into the review. But without spoiling, because we're going to do spoilers after this, and a short, like 2-3 sentence. Did you like it? Did you not? Let's start with Britt.
I loved it. I thought it was a great return to The Mandalorian because we all watched the Book of Boba Fett, and it was just kind of like 2.5. Feel bad for the people that didn't realize that stuff happened in that show, because quite a few people were like, "Wait, what the fuck? Grogu's back?"
Yep.
I have to keep telling people to go watch it.
Yeah, I think it was a really good start off point. You got to see what I like is it's very rare for Star Wars unless it's later on in the movies, but to see the direct effects of a certain area later, because you don't come back to Hoth, you don't come back to the areas. They happen in one movie and you kind of move on.
The now bustling metropolis of Hoth.
You're like, now this
Tatooine's the only one that they've gone back to, and it has never changed.
Yeah,
but they never go to the same place, so
it's
always a fucking just another desert town.
It's just another hive of scum and villainy.
There's a lot of desert towns on this desert planet.
It made me happy. It had fun, happy moments. It had cool moments. And
We'll
all I
break
needed
it
was
down.
Bo-Katan sitting on a throne.
Exactly. All right, Hawk.
If this was a great introductory episode, and considering we haven't seen the series itself and that for the last going on 2 years now, we got our little thing back in Boba Fett, and that we're reintroduced Grogu and Din Djarin together, and that. So people can be a little confused, but they'll get over it. This did a great job of showing the galaxy 2 years later. Everything had changed in that, right down from the culvert and where they relocated because of the actions of Din Djarin to Navarro, and how it's upscale. It is upscale. It is no longer the.
It's actually longer than 2 years, but we'll talk about that in a couple seconds.
Yeah. And basically what his next steps were. So I think if anybody doesn't think the plot moved forward, I think it's just that we were just getting to know them again, and they did a great job of doing it.
David.
I think we had some really pretty sets and nothing made any fucking sense.
Oh, I like this. We're going to chat about this. Cool. For me, I liked it. I liked it. If I can have Pedro Pascal escort a small child anywhere in the universe, I'll watch it. And it's always compelling for me. This is his sexy voice, the Mandalorian, his quiet, sexy voice, as he calls it. And, we get Last of Us with him and Ellie, which is not the sexy voice because that would be creepy.
Yeah.
It's the southern sexy voice.
But
I think we're done with that after tonight. So
Get
on the pallet, Ellie. Get on the pallet. Never happened once.
I'm glad they didn't do that. Okay. Anyway, so this is your warning. We're going to go into spoilers now because we have to. And it's no, there's not much, but we're going to spoil it all. Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau recently had an interview where they said that not only has time passed for Mando doing the whole Book of Boba Fett thing, but also Grogu had been with Luke for 2 full years before Mando came back. So there's been like a 4-year gap between. Without reading that it doesn't really, at least for me, feel like that. It just feels like that 2-year gap. What do you think about this little interview or that quote that he said? Has it felt like longer than 2 years, like 4 or 5 years have passed?
It's obvious time has passed, but they don't let you get a sense of it all. And because Star Wars is really bad about, like, is time dilation a thing in Star Wars? Because that can easily be
especially with warp and all that.
Right? Like, cool, but they don't
Light
really
speed, not
do
warp.
that in Star Wars. Like, sometimes it takes, like, months to go across the galaxy, and sometimes it takes, like, 2 days. Right? It's all speed of plot. So that's why I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how long has it been? And he's like, well, things have been going real good around here, Mando. And you're like, okay, why? Well, you got rid of the bad guys. He's like, yeah, but why? What's on this planet that matters? Like, who cares? I thought the reason the Empire was here is because they were here. Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, the whole point was they had like a cloning facility here, right? That's why the Empire was here. And the reason there was a cloning facility here is because it was like out of the way, and now they're like they're a fucking gas station on the Hydian Way, which is, if you know Star Wars, is like one of the biggest hyperspace lanes. Yeah. So it's just like, it's a thing because it's a thing, I guess. Like, we're just gonna say it. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, the people weren't gonna move away; they were just gonna rebuild. Right?
Well, why would they move? Their house has wheels.
And based on the Bad Batch and everything that has been post sequel trilogy, I feel like they're gonna still keep the whole, we have more cloning shit here. We're gonna,
yeah.
That's probably why they're
it's
gonna
always
be like,
in the background, the cloning.
Yeah, always. What about you guys? What did you think of the time?
Somehow Palpatine returns.
God damn it!
No.
Whoever.
I'm pretty comfortable with the time, lapse. If it's 2 years, 4 years, and that, I think anything we've learned after the pandemic is that the years really don't really matter.
Would it have been weird if we saw an older, like Grogu, like a more taller, maybe?
You knew he wasn't. Given the fact that when we first met him, he was already 50 years old, and that you wouldn't expect him to change significantly in a 2 or 4 year gap.
What if only his legs grew? You're just like, he's just
my
taller.
God.
The point is, we're kind of established at this new point, and that I guess the Empire has retreated further into the Outer Rim, and there's this peace and independence that they haven't experienced in a long time, and I guess they're going to they're going to get into the problems of the Galactic Alliance and that, and how the New Republic, how they actually can rule. But I digress. I'm wondering if we're going to see our first indications of the First Order coming out of this.
God, I hope not.
Give us a few more, another time skip before that happens.
I feel like there's still Empire enough right now before we get into First Order business.
Got it.
Hopefully not in this series.
Yeah.
I think there's much better stories to be told with a retreating Imperial remnant, because it's like when the Roman Empire slowly left places, and like who came in to seize power and stuff like that, what kingdoms rise.
Yeah, and I think maybe the emergence of these pirates is sort of the start of that. Like, they're starting to take back some control of these areas. And that is, sorry, I sort of cut you off, Britt, about the time dilation thing.
No, you're good. I was just going to agree that it didn't feel like it was
that long,
4 years, but since they say it, I'm like, sure, why not? Like, I would just say it'd be maybe 2 tops.
Does it feel earned that we just jumped ahead a bunch of times? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I feel like that's something that I don't think needs to be earned. I think any show can start off. Like, how many shows have time skips in them? Even
but normally they
had a time skip.
Yeah, normally they mention the time skip.
Not always, though.
Oh, that's true.
No.
See, the Owl House only happened to have one because they're like, yeah, we got shortened in our final season, so like there's going to be a 6-month time skip or whatever. Sometimes they don't.
I know there's like dissenting.
It makes sense when I see the changes. So I'm like, I can see now that there has been a time change, and it doesn't bother me because like I can believe that he was flying around doing his own shit, missing Grogu. Grogu was training, missing him, and then we got to see them meet up in an extra show. Sure, why not? And the only thing that doesn't make sense is fucking what the fuck was Boba Fett doing for 4 years then?
It's true. Like,
that's the thing that throws you off. He was in that back
to tank for a long time.
Yeah, and it takes a while to gain that much.
Like the Book of Boba Fett isn't
that show
over
is
like
just
a
separate
week, right? The Book of Boba Fett is over a
multiple years. Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently.
Although it doesn't feel like it. And
It
that
feels
episode-
like a day.
Well, let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett, because for those people who didn't watch it,
God.
there's really a lot that they missed, and I feel like that was a detriment to this show, just because this, they can't just like be like, they left them off last season with, you know, Luke taking Grogu away, and all
It
of a
was
sudden
so emotional.
they're just hanging back with a new ship, and you're just like, what the fuck? The people who don't watch,
Yeah.
like, I know a bunch of people that didn't watch Boba Fett because they didn't really care about it, so I can only imagine what they thought about that. What did you think about? I guess they should have just had like that
I
mini.
say just watch
part
the
of the Boba
half of the
Fett.
season that deals with the Mandalorian, and don't watch the first half.
Like,
Just
yeah,
those few episodes.
like would it have
They were
been
really good.
Would it have been better served as like a mini movie to lead up to this? Like, should have they just done that?
I think those 2 episodes should have just been in this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
They didn't even
Yeah.
mention in the
they didn't even
previously
recap.
on.
That was the wildest shit.
The
That's why it threw
episode,
people off.
I think it's episode 5 of Book of Boba Fett, where it just opens like cold open with like Mando like
Yeah.
going badass by himself. I'm like, so the people who watch this show aren't gonna get to experience any time where he's by himself and like him training with the Darksaber or anything like that, or like just because like that was fucking badass. That was
Yeah, it
fucking
was.
cool seeing him
You
like
had to learn how
be
to
kind-
wield it.
He was
him
struggling
being-
with it.
but like being brutal
Mhm.
because 1, Grogu's not around, he doesn't have to protect anyone else. And 2, he's just like, I don't know how the fuck this thing works. It cuts through everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
Just
you
don't drop it
miss-
upside down.
Like they set up a whole arc of a show and then went, no. We won't be
Yeah.
doing that.
I feel like they did that because I think they wanted to do a Boba Fett show, but then realized it wasn't a whole season's worth of ideas. So then they're like, well, I guess we could show what Mando's doing in the meantime. And then it became like Mando Show 2.0. Which I'll take. I like those episodes. But yeah, like honestly, if you ask me, if not Ming Na doing some cool shit, I do not remember. I could not tell you the names of anybody in Boba Fett. Tusken's died, sure, it made him a better person. Why not? But Mando and the Darksaber, and then Grogu with Luke, those were and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Goddamn.
them like reuniting, like Grogu and
Yeah.
Mando on that little cart thing, like that was such
and
a
his
sweet
choice.
moment.
Yeah, the what I call the action figure last episode, where it's like you and your brother have all your action figures out, and you're like, and now this thing's gonna attack, and you're like,
I got it. I figured it out. Book of Boba Fett is a show for legacy characters, right? We had Boba Fett, we had Luke, we saw fucking R2, right? We see
Cad
Ahsoka.
Bane.
Oh yeah,
legacy,
Cad Bane.
legacy
Remember
characters.
when they just
legacy
swapped?
characters.
Yeah.
Okay, Cad Bane deserved better.
You're old, Cad Bane, and I have armor. I can defeat you. Like, what? Just shoot each other. What's the problem here?
Oh, Black Chrysanthemum, like finally seeing him.
Yeah.
And like
Just
The
like
reason that
legacy
comic book is
characters
worth
and
money.
Mando. I think Mando, the idea is like the only legacy character we have is I guess we had Ahsoka one episode last season, and we had
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah.
Yeah,
But they're
when they
not
started
like
bringing
legacy in the way that like Luke is, right? And R2.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I
they're
think
not
the
in
point of
everything.
Mando is we're not going to see Han, we're not going to see
Yeah.
Leia, right? Like
yeah. And I
maybe
guess
that's why.
You never know.
And I guess with Mando, the real focus is on the the Mandalorians and what they're gonna do moving forward, or at least what Mando, or God, I should say Din Djarin is gonna do with the Mandalorians. Like this episode opens up with a baptism ritual for new Mandalorians, and it's really the first time we've gotten to see this cult. Oh my God,
cult,
we're talking about cults.
It is
the
it
whole
is-
night.
It is a
It's a
cult,
cult,
though,
Yeah,
right? Like,
it's
it
a
is
cult night. The armorer is there, and she's fully like bathing this child in water while putting on the helmet and saying those religious words. What did you guys think about seeing this part of the religion that we'd
It was
only
actually
really
pretty cool.
heard about it? I thought it was
It was
really
cool.
cool too.
I felt like a part of it. The way the camera comes in, where everybody's staying on the side, and you're just like, "That's my boy." I don't even know who this kid is, but that's my boy.
The first half is awesome, and then the second half is like, why? Oh, we're just gonna repeat a conversation we've already had before because people haven't seen that
Yep.
show.
They did do that.
Like,
Yeah.
like the set was like beautiful, right? Like
Yeah.
the very like caves,
armor
the
set.
sandstone
The armor,
caves
yeah.
and all that stuff, and it was cool to see a bunch of Mandalorians and a giant. Looks like a dragon turtle from D&D, to be honest. Like
Yeah, it did.
it's like a snapping alligator. So,
How
like,
did it
Space
fit in that
turtle.
water? I
I
don't
know.
understand.
That was wild.
It just
it's
Like,
a
how
very
deep is that lake?
sneaky.
it's
It's a
How
very
deep
sneaky.
is that lake?
I gotta admit, like seeing the different types of Mandalorians using all their different weaponry in
dope.
that sequence was so cool.
Like, flamethrower, darts,
rockets, and a giant chain gun for that Vizsla guy. Oh my god, what's his first name? Not Pre, it's Tar.
Is it Tar?
Tar Vizsla. Pre Vizsla was the bad guy from Rebels or Clone Wars or whatever. He was the one with
what
the
was the name of the ancient
That's Tar Vizsla.
That's Tar Vizsla.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Anyway, let's move on. So before I sound even sillier.
Post Vizsla.
It's weird, you know.
Vizsla?
Tar Pre.
Oh, Vizsla's a type of dog. Oh god, it's so confusing.
So after the armor tells him that he has to bathe in the waters of Mandalore in the caves.
Be redeemed.
Yes, because all of a sudden, I guess there's so much growth with Mando last season and him taking off the helmet that it sort of feels out of place. That he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to this cult and put the helmet on, be like all the others.
Like,
especially since we didn't see. Yeah, sorry.
He feels like they're his community, but also like he has Grogu now and these other group of people he's with. So it's like, do you really like? He could be like Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians that have the helmets off. And
I feel like
love
that's
when
what
she was like, you and your cult, and it's just like, well, hold on, Death Watch was definitely a fucking cult.
But it felt like that him meeting her last season was that growth that he could take off the helmet by the end of the season, and then we'd move forward from that. But like without seeing the
right, but that's not. This is actually, I think, some of the better
Mandalore.
writing is that his instinct is to go back.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
Is that like when you're no, but I don't want to leave. Like this is
Go
my
back to my
family,
roots.
right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's the point of the Boba Fett part, because he didn't have Grogu, so all he could do was find these people again. But without watching that in this season, you're just like, okay, I guess he's going to go back to the helmet wearing thing with Grogu now.
This is why I actually think he's not going to succeed on his mission, because he needs to be outcast from Death Watch, right? Like,
I think he's gonna go to Mandalore and then find what he wasn't looking for there.
Find the Force ghost of
Darth.
The big beefy jetpack Mandalorian is Paz Vizsla, which I remember now because Paz is the Spanish word for peace.
Paz is peace. Yeah, I was about to say.
The Peace Vizsla. My bad.
Vizsla. That's what they should do when they kill him.
So instead of going to Bo-Katan for help, he decides to go back to wherever that one scummy planet where the armor originally was, and his friend Carl Weathers.
Carl
Low Creed, baby.
I always forget his name too. I was like, oh, it's Carl Weathers.
So he decides to go back there to get IG whatever.
11?
Was it 11? The one that blew up IG Watiti.
IG 11. 88 is the assassin.
88 Well, IG 11 is also an assassin droid. All IGs are identical.
Yeah,
I mean, IG 88 is the quote assassin, the OG one.
Yeah. What do you think about this whole idea of him going back to be like, you know what? I need to go back to Mandalore. Let me get this robot that I once liked a long time ago.
I mean,
it's a choice.
I mean, yeah.
Say your positives before I go on a rant.
I thought it was weird. I thought he should have gone to Bo-Katan before anyone.
Probably.
She's been there before.
I know, but I think he knows that she wasn't going to join him anyway. I think he
did take her lightsaber.
Yeah. So he was just like, are we good? And she's like, no, we're still not fucking good. So he's like, fair enough. I'm going to Mandalore.
But your friends. Your friends good?
Yeah.
But I feel like the IG-11 thing is just a way for them to bring that character back, possibly. And also a reason for him to have come back to that town to show what's happening.
I honestly think the robot's coming back eventually.
Yeah, definitely. They wouldn't have thrown it in just to
wipe it away that clean. This time, or something. I don't know.
The robot was supposed to self-destruct in order to not be captured. How the fuck did they make a statue out of it that they can apparently turn back into a robot? So
his head didn't.
This is like if you punch yourself and you hurt yourself, are you strong or are you weak? Like, so was it like? Was the robot like, is a fucking thermal detonator wasn't enough to actually completely destroy this IG droid? That's impressive.
I'm very surprised with that, to be honest.
But it still fucking functions enough to reset to its factory default settings and can still move and shit. Like, okay, so this thing's fucking indestructible.
It's the Terminator. That was our sequence, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this doesn't make any sense. This thing's supposed to be destroyed. Like, it's supposed to be destroyed. So it's not destroyed and it's repairable? Well, then what was the fucking point at the end of... What?
Listen, I think they just changed their mind later on. They're like, you know what? He should have a little robot buddy with him. Let's just...
I don't think he's actually going to come back. I hope not.
I think he's going to get R5
Star Wars
instead,
writers
actually.
do.
I think
he's going to go to Tatooine. He's going to pick up R5 and be like, this is a droid I can trust for some reason.
I could
Skippy the Jedi droid.
God damn it.
Where's my R5? My R5's on the shelf right over there.
I love R5. I fully assumed he's going to get like a regular droid, not like a murder droid.
We saw R5 in a trailer, right? Where
we saw it in this episode. He was on. Was he not in that planet? I thought I saw an R5.
There was another R5. I don't think it's the R5. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Who knows?
Oh, maybe he'll put the chip in an R5 droid.
This is gonna be like the It's gonna be like the Millennium Falcon, where they put a robot's brain into a different thing.
Taika just body hops every season now.
I like the idea of Taika Waititi becoming a talking, just rolling astromech droid, being like, "Hey guys, can I have arms and legs? That'd be great."
Exactly.
But it'd be funny if he beeped in a New Zealand accent, though.
It's like, bleep, bleep. I'm on a roll.
Because I just finished Our Flag Means Death. I actually just watched a bunch of interviews with Rhys Darby and
oh my
Taika
God.
Waititi.
Rhys has to be on this show. That would be amazing.
Show.
Oh yeah.
That would be fantastic.
The rise of Rhys
Skywalker.
So I think the funniest part of this sequence for me was when Carl Weathers, my God, I still can't remember his name, and Mando, Greef Karga and Manda are walking down the street, and he's like, "Well, what happened to Cara Dune, and what happened to?"
Oh, that was
like,
so good.
Well, they're gone. They're both gone.
They went back to their home planet,
and they died.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Do you want to know a weird Gina Carano Cara Dune fact?
Yes,
I just found out
100%.
like literally yesterday. So you know how I take my voiceover classes with Voiceover Camp run by Kritia Bajos, right?
Yeah.
One of her friends became a writer on the movie Heist in 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made a character whose name is Officer Kritia Bajos, which nobody else has that fucking name, first of all. She only just learned about this recently. And it was played by Gina Carano. So it's just like so unfortunate. And she's just like, why did you make this person like, why is this my name? And they're like, oh, just like it was a name. And then she's just like, you could use Kritia or you could use Bajos. Why did you use Kritia, Officer Kritia Bajos? So yeah, it's really funny because now when I think of Gina Carano, I'm just like, she played my teacher.
Does everybody forget that she was in the first Deadpool movie as well?
Oh, she was.
Oh yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds did not like her. That's why half of his like improv dialogue against her is like kind of mean.
I feel like that's what happens when he doesn't like someone. He just he just cuts a little
it's like
deeper.
You can tell when he jokingly like is joking with someone he likes, but then like I think halfway through he must have been like, "Oh, this is a Trumper."
Oh no. There's a story I saw where this guy was trying to be all funny with Ryan Reynolds, and he's just started like fumbling over his words. And Ryan Reynolds just pats him on the back. He's like, "You want to try that again?"
He's like, "You wanna
take that back?"
And he couldn't do it. And he's like, "Maybe next time."
Did I send you that on Instagram?
Like, I'm an improv
Was that you? I couldn't remember.
It might have been me.
I saw it and I was like, "Oh my God, this is of course what Ryan Reynolds would have said."
Dave, you do send the best Instagram.
Yeah, they're very good. I loved all the Simpsons stuff.
I can't always watch because I'm in work, but.
Mm-hmm.
So save them for later.
So they try and fix this IG-11 droid, and they end up going to the little Babu Fricks. The best part of the Rise of Skywalker. I thought this sequence was hilarious, and the only way to redeem. Babu Frick. Let's go with that. I was gonna say redeem Frick.
Don't say that whole movie.
Babu Frick did not need to be redeemed. Everything else needed to be redeemed.
That's true. What do you think of adding these new characters like this?
That's
little
fucking
thing?
great.
I loved
it. Was a great sequence. It was perfect.
It's so funny.
They were like, "We gotta repair it."
And I like that.
I can't understand what you're saying, and then Greef just repeats. He's like, "No. I can sort of understand what they're saying. They're speaking Galactic Basic. Like they're not really speaking Huttese."
It was so funny. Oh, and Huttese being the most popular language in the Outer Rim. I love.
Oh, of course, it's a trade language, right? Like
great. Exactly.
How great was the puppetry in that they actually got?
They're great.
They got them right, but they also got that whole sequence of Grogu and that
the hugging.
Oh
my God, it was
so
adorable.
as his pet.
And Din's like in the thing like this, like.
I love that he's sitting in the garage
Yeah.
and he's like so massive.
Yes, they really nailed the humor this season that the Book of Boba Fett couldn't do properly.
Yeah.
Which
You mean
Book of
actual
Boba Fett
jokes?
couldn't decide if it was like serious or not.
Mhm.
And I was like, don't do this to Boba.
But they did.
But they did.
They did.
They did. It's okay.
Anyway, so they leave that. They couldn't fix IG-88, and Din goes to the place that he really should have gone in the first place. Oh wait, no, fuck! I forgot about the pirate battle in the space, which was amazing.
That was the coolest part, bro.
Yes,
really
so because of an amazing Western standoff on that planet, 4 pirates died, and they let one guy go. As they do.
Classic mistake.
Ban something. I can't remember what his name was.
It doesn't matter.
Pirate?
It always comes back to kill you because look what happened to Troy.
I don't know if you're aware, in Star Wars, it's not a Mexican and you didn't say Mexican standoff, but it's called a Mandalorian standoff.
Yeah. They fully switched it up. Yeah, that's fine.
Of course, Star Wars is like they are space Mexicans.
Yeah, these are space ones.
No, that's not the. That's not the intention behind it.
So we get this awesome space battle in an asteroid field, and we get to see an amazing space pirate lord that looks like Swamp Thing. This sequence
Oh yeah,
was
that
beautiful.
awesome.
What did you
Oh
guys
my
think of this
God.
whole sequence? Like, this was the money. This was the money shot.
Yeah,
for
the
this
dogfight was one of the best parts, the best space battles I think I've seen in at least live action Star Wars.
It's
And like,
one of my
why
favorites.
doesn't this happen more often? It was just so great, and like, as it was happening, we were even all like, "Holy shit, this is great! This is awesome!" Like, bah, 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 bah.
I guess it's the first time we saw the N1 starfighter, like the not Boba, the Din
Yeah,
Din
the
Djarin.
Din Djarin, my god, version really do anything, because he didn't really do anything in Book of Boba Fett.
Well,
He's
that,
kind of
he hit the
blind.
go button in Book of Boba Fett.
He hit the go button for Carson Teff. Well, no, it wasn't Carson who was. It was a different Republic person. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
This was so amazing
Yeah.
in that it kind of highlighted the differences in the space battles and that with like last season and that with everything we saw with the Razor Crest and that, which were intense like flight sequences in and of themselves.
But it's like a hot rod versus
awesome.
a moving van, right?
yeah.
like
you-
those
And it was
tight corners it was taking around moons and that, trying to position itself behind them.
Did you pick up on the cinematography where it was like a space battle, but it was a slasher film?
Oh no, it was. Where it
Where
was
it
like,
was
where
like,
is
yeah,
he?
it's like
And
it would be
boom.
like fighting, go behind an asteroid and then just like kill
Yeah.
someone. And be like, what the fuck? They turned a space battle into
Yeah.
a fucking horror movie.
So
No, it was
good.
great. It was
So
so
cool.
suspenseful.
This is the difference between like a space battle between Han Solo and the pirates and that, and like Mandalorian versus pirates.
Yeah.
You know, Mandalorian very quickly becomes the hunter.
For a franchise with so many quote unquote pilots, the best in the galaxy, whatever, you don't get to see many space battles that aren't just like, a large ship against like this many small ships, or like, it's less other than like
Like, I can't
blowing up the Death Star.
Yeah.
Like, nothing else was that exciting to me.
Part of that is because it's very expensive to blow up many, 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 many models in Starfighter
Yeah.
battles, right? Like,
I have to admit, this is an amazing year for space battles for Star Wars, because we got the one in Andor, and then we got this one, and I'm just like, when I saw the Andor one, it's like,
what
nothing's gonna
happened
beat
in
this.
Andor was not a battle; it was
Sorry.
a fucking slaughter.
It was fair. That's fair. But this one was very close to a slaughter as well.
Like, oh my god, he could have even said like, "Oh, I'm not trapped here with you."
You're trapped here with me.
Then drops the helmet down.
Oh my god.
So the guy who plays Gorian Shard is Nonso Anozi, who was Zaro Zone Daxos in Game of Thrones, and also is
Oh.
Thomas Shepard in Sweet Tooth.
yes.
Too.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Cool.
I
Yeah,
love
Wow.
too.
That's cool. I
I
like
don't know
it.
if he's just the voice or if he did the physical. I think the physical was played by the same person who played Kursan.
Okay,
previously.
that's fair.
Because I think
He's a
like, they
very
just
big
put-
guy.
You just put that guy in his suit and go.
Although,
"Go."
to be fair, he's also a big dude.
He is. Yeah, I
Based
don't know.
on Sweet Tooth. I don't know. We
I
get
don't-
that this year too. Yes.
I've been waiting so long.
Anyway, so we move forward, and he goes to one of the moons or one of the planets in the Mandalorian system, which, who knew?
Yeah.
So we get to go to a castle, a Mandalorian castle that looked amazing, and Din Djarin goes to see Bo-Katan finally and asks her for help, and we sort of get this rundown about her clan disappearing, becoming mercenaries, and how she doesn't want to help anything, and she's sort of all she needed while she was lounging on that throne was a cigar to make it perfect.
Yeah, right. Or something like a drink.
Just like, yeah.
She just had her helmet dejectedly off to the side, but still facing forward.
Exactly.
And I was like, this is so
She has
great.
zero fucks right there to give.
He didn't have to move more than literally like her face, which is always a good scene.
Mm-hmm. What did you guys think of this amazing scene? I'm trying to push it.
It's one of those things that was very pretty that made no sense.
No? Explain.
She's got a fucking castle, but no attendants. She just hangs out on her fucking
She has
throne.
robots.
They're robots.
She had robots.
Oh, okay. That
And
sounds
at
like a
this
fun-
point, they were emphasizing that everybody had abandoned her at this point, because she didn't get the Dark Blade.
Yeah. Because
But
you
we
could
never-
only unite the Mandalorians under the Darksaber.
But we also never saw her court. If it's a castle, presumably she has a court that was full of people either, right? So it's just like, well, maybe it's
We've always seen
empty.
her
We don't
with
know.
Mandalorians,
Yeah.
though, right?
Mhm.
Like
She's always
two-
had
and
a
it's
crew.
always been a small group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she had a small group of followers, and then they disbanded.
And,
Like,
like-
she probably could have gotten more with the Darksaber.
And one of them disappeared in an episode, and they were like, well, we'll get to that. And we're like, well, was the guy just not available? Like, what's the problem?
Mm.
Yeah.
We'll have to see in Book of Boba Fett Part 2. Just kidding.
Oh, God.
Okay, so it's a gorgeous part. I understand, like, that people are like, was she just laying on the throne all day just waiting for him to come in? Yes, okay, this bitch was being dramatic as fuck. She's alone. She's bored. Whatever.
She knew a ship was coming. You can tell these things.
Exactly. Like, they're like, a shit's
Well, I
approaching,
mean,
and then
that's
she's like,
what I
"Where's
would
me?"
write, right? Is
Yeah.
that she's like, what's her name? I forget already.
Katie
Bo-Katan?
Sackhoff? Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan, Chancellor Katan. There's a ship entering the system, and she's like, oh fuck, she's got to put her armor on, like run to her throne, and then lays down, like.
No. I think if they did that, it would cheapen the coolness
I've
of,
been-
like,
Yeah.
him
I've
landing,
been
and you're like,
expecting
who's he
you
going
for
to
a
see?
while,
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
She didn't even look at him at first. She was just looking off the
No.
side. She's like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
She knew he was there. She
Yeah.
was like, oh, I have beef with you.
Yeah.
But
She's gonna like
but I
run all the
remember
way
when we were-
across her castle.
When we were watching it, I
Mm-hmm.
remember I said, this is how you know she's also a really good voice actor, because
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't have to move her body to project like the power she has in the scene. Like, she only has to use her face like a little bit.
Mhm.
And I was like, you could just close your eyes and listen to the scene, and you could picture it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, that's just me. I was just
Oh,
like,
I
voice
fully,
actor.
I like this. I like Katie Sackhoff. I love Bo-Katan as a character. The fact that it seems like they're gonna bring in more people from Rebels and Clone Wars this season is stupid
Like, for the
exciting.
lore.
Like,
give me the lore, the
The
Mandalore.
Yeah, we're gonna be going to Mandalore, which is very exciting because we've hardly been on that planet at all. Thoughts on? Sorry, Hawk, did you want to say something about the Bo-Katan scene? See, I sorta
Katan
cut you off.
scene I liked. I know I haven't talked too much on that, but the way I see it, in that like his motivations are very different from other characters in the show. And that for him, this is like almost a spiritual journey. In that. When we first met him back in Boba Fett, like he was back to doing bounty work, but not because he enjoys the life in that. I think he was just trying to keep together the culvert that he kind of helped destroy in the first season.
Yeah.
Now he's following this path of like kind of supplication, and he wants to wash away these sins which he believes are very real to him,
Which is very appropriate because the first episode is called the apostate, which is a person who leaves or is exiled from a religious organization.
Yeah, and like
I was just going to say, he also might, one of the reasons he might be trying to get back in with his group is because he does have Grogu now, and if anything happens to him, who's going to, like if he's part of that family, they'll have to protect him and take care of him.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking, I'm still in the Joel mindset where I'm just like, listen, this man
Well, like
has
no
a
one else,
plan.
no one else is going to take care of Grogu except for maybe Luke, right?
Yeah.
But like, how is he going to manage that?
Yeah, and we do see Grogu a little bit more, useful with the Force. He did get those M&Ms off that off that table
quite easily.
Quite
Spun
easily.
in the chair. He
and
spun
he
in
didn't
that
fall
chair.
asleep. Oh yeah, he was spinning himself in the chair. God, that was so cool. Yeah. So
Also his other connection, the other connections of the Force we made this episode with him, and that when they were traveling in hyperspace.
oh yes, the space
We
whales.
didn't even
Space
talk
whales!
about. They call the Purgles, right?
I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah.
Something like that. It
We'll
was like
go with
durable,
that.
but not.
Yes,
Purgle.
yes. Which we first saw in Rebels.
Rebels.
So
Rebels.
seeing that in real life, like with
Yeah.
real life.
In
But
live
it's showing
action.
it's showing how powerful his connection to the Force is becoming.
Yeah.
So, nice
Yeah, don't say
foreshadowing moment.
space whales. The Trek fans will get on you, right? Like,
We made that joke.
Ah, that's fair. That's fair.
I was like, Spock did it. They're saved.
Well, like the last time we saw them was when Ezra took them and shot off against Thrawn, and we know Thrawn's coming based on the Ahsoka show. And apparently Filoni, or maybe it was I think it was
Favreau.
I think it was Filoni who said that there's going to be a big legacy character like from Rebels era, Clone Wars era, showing up on Mandalorian this season.
Nice.
So because it has to lead into Ahsoka, which is coming out this
well, I
year.
sure
too,
hope
right?
it's Star Killer. No.
Oh my god, I would love that. Because what's his name? What's that?
Sam Witwer?
Sam Witwer needs to be in live action Star Wars. He needs
That would
to.
be so good.
He would be
He
amazing.
deserves it.
He
He
does.
really does.
He does. Not as Maul, but yeah. Anyway, what do you guys want to see from the rest of the season based on the little that we've seen of the first episode? I'd say little, but a lot. It was a lot for me because I
It'd be
loved
cool
it.
to see him use the Darksaber and like get used to it.
Like when it was in Rebels, it was Sabine and Kanan,
Mhm.
right? And she had a Jedi teaching her how to use the lightsaber or the dark saber. And really, there's no one here. Maybe Luke that could teach her. him?
Grogu.
Like the closest he had was the armor, and
But
I think
yeah,
it'd be cool if Ahsoka kind of taught him how to use it. Why not?
yeah. She started
Who
on a
knows if
mission.
they're gonna cross paths
I don't
again.
know.
Yeah.
I've heard theory that like maybe like the idea is that Grogu's supposed to be the Mandalorian, but I much prefer
Yeah.
the idea that because like having played all the Old Republic stuff and read about all the like ancient Mandalorians and how they used to have like a mask that was like the symbol of their like unity, and now it's all the Darksaber, which is fine. I think the point of the show should be that like he reunites the Mandalorians. Like that would be a lot cooler.
And then he breaks the dark saber to show that he has no power
Yeah.
over them. Oh, that would be
Sure.
cool.
That would be dope. And then he's like, now this doesn't have to show up again ever.
Maybe he just like throws it over his shoulder.
No.
God damn it.
I think they're working
hate
hard
this.
towards like the
I hate
angle
it.
of
I
prophecy.
hate it so much.
Sorry, Hawk.
I think they're working on this kind of a prophecy angle regarding like Din Djarin in comparison to Tar Vizsla, who was a Jedi who brought the Darksaber and united all the families, right? But he had the Darksaber and the Force and the spore of the Mandalorians and that. And like Din Djarin has the Darksaber and Grogu in that. He's a bonded pair in that. So they're really kind of pushing that he is the one who is ultimately going to unite the clans.
Like he'll fight like Kratos with like the Darksaber in one hand and Grogu in the other using the
Yes.
Force. Like the way Kratos holds up Medusa heads.
Or Mimir.
Or Mimir.
No, Mimir's just like no power, but like you could in
Or
previous
he's
God
like,
of War
boy,
games,
shoot those
you could,
runes.
You could turn things to stone
I
by
remember
holding
that.
up a
That was
Medusa
good.
head. Yeah.
I'm wondering about the conflict coming between him and Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that might be the big thing for this season. At least one of the big things. That she wants to lead her people, and she's tried it before and failed.
She seems really bad at it though. Like every time she's in charge, bad things happen.
I hope there's a flashback to her losing the Darksaber, because I really want to know why.
I think I like the idea of because he's like a commoner essentially, and she's a fucking landed
Like a
gentry.
royal.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, she
so
is.
like I like the idea like she's like no, you're not supposed to have this thing. Like I'm supposed to have it because I'm better than you because blah blah blah. That's a very Star Wars idea, right? That the imperialism, and that he's like, no, I'm just a dude who's like I work hard and I
Just a dude.
yeah. And like he deserves to lead these people because he doesn't want to. Right?
I got this sword out of a lake from a lady.
That's no basis for a form of government.
for you.
So what are we taught out distributing swords?
There is a little bit of a like online. There are some people that are sort of sad that this is a shorter episode, but The Mandalorian has also always had variable lengths of episodes. What did you guys think about the length of the premiere?
It was
fine.
Yeah, it was fine to me. I felt I felt like it had a complete episode at the end of it.
Yeah.
It could have been longer, sure. I mean, we got spoiled with season 2 because the first episode was the whole thing with the Krayt Dragon. That was almost an hour,
Yeah.
But that was a fully realized story, like from beginning to end. So we didn't have that with this.
It feels very weird. Like I would prefer. This is why I wish like the episode from Book of Boba Fett was the opener, because I like the hot start, right, where it's like big action, and we didn't really have that. We had a slow and then an explosive thing. But
literally explosive. He blew up that thing.
Like there's a thing that you don't see in movies or TV shows often, and it's in New Hope when Luke is just looking out at the sunset. Like that scene doesn't need to be in that movie, right? It doesn't push the story forward. It's just a really great shot that you put in a movie because it makes you feel a certain way. And I feel like we had some of those shots in this, and we got them every once in a while in Mandalorian, where they're no, we need Grogu shots like this to make the show not just like hit the beats, right? Like, and we get that I think in the whole thing in the Naboo starfighter, where Grogu's like looking out and then he kind of snuggles up with like that doesn't need to be in the show, and like that's kind of why it's maybe the best part of this episode.
Oh, I love that part.
Because it's like stolen time from producers, right? Like if you look at the value of your money, like what value does that bring to the episode? Kind of nothing. It doesn't advance the story. It doesn't get people interested in the show. It's just a really nice moment.
That's what we need more of. People are always, they're at the minute that people see an episode that doesn't advance the plot, they're like, this is filler. I'm like, that's literally not what filler means. Watch anime, and when it's like repeating shit or it has like nothing to do, like that shit's like whole arcs are filler.
Well, that's what I mean about like rehashing that conversation is kind of filler,
that was one of those things. But they've done that in other shows where they're just like, oh, fucking Doctor Strange is the best example of that, where they're just like, by the way, in case you didn't know WandaVision, here's all this like, and I was like, okay, this is a waste of time in a theatrical film, but okay.
Yeah, like every time they talk about the multiverse and thing, because people didn't watch Loki, I'm just like,
yeah, and I'm like, just say multiverse. People understand, like, you don't have to know string theory or any quantum
No,
shit,
people don't
really.
understand. I've told the story about how I worked with a woman who I was like, oh, because like Rick and Morty was out and was talking, and she was like, no, there's only one universe, and I was like,
you're like,
well, we don't know that for sure. She was like, there's only one. And
oh
I was like,
Dave, honestly, you might have met God that day. She was like, listen, bitch. But yeah, like when there's a flashback or something that just helps and it aids to character depth, that's not filler, guys. It's not fucking filler. Shut up.
No. Yeah. Oh,
it's called having media literacy. You need it.
It's true. It's true. I love it.
We start in media res.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Why is the hopping around in time?
I'm sure we'll do a full season review once this is done, because although we're doing the last.
How many episodes are we getting? 9, 8, 7, 8.
Is it 8 again? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
Why not?
Was Book of Boba Fett 6?
7.
It was like a mini one, I thought.
I think it was 7.
Was it only like 6?
I thought it was 6
Maybe
too.
It was 7? I thought it was like 6 episodes.
Maybe.
I do not recall.
I think I'm going to have to ask Steve to get me an edit of just the... I didn't want it before, but now I do. Just the Tusken Raider part of that story. I'm like, you know what I do? It was good. I want to
7 episodes, Book of Boba Fett.
And 2 of them were Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was everybody's argument where they're just like, what?
I've had so many friends.
I liked it though.
Who were like, yeah, I'm excited for the new Mandalorian. I'm like, you gotta go watch 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. Otherwise, it's not gonna make any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the strangest thing about this season, is that a whole storyline happened somewhere else.
I think that first one is the best episode of The Mandalorian we've ever seen, too.
Yeah.
And it's
where he disappears eating shit with the Darksaber.
Just the whole episode is great, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, now I want to watch it.
Is that
again.
when he's doing the transport thing too? When he's like, I know everything that's not even in the Mandalorian.
I think so. In the suitcase and everything.
Yeah. That's all it is.
He also fits down below that one deck, and you're like, damn, if you fall, this is space. Like,
Luckily, he had a jetpack.
Yeah,
and they had that duel, right?
God.
They did, yeah. And he was like, you don't even know how to wield it.
Yeah. Like there's that conflict between him and that Vizsla, Paz Vizsla, that seems so important
Paz
moving
was
forward,
like, you
right?
shall not Paz.
God damn it.
I would like to see that be like a budding conflict where it's actually not maybe there's other Mandalorians who want to challenge him, because that is like in their nature, right? Is like the strongest leads, right? They're very chaotic.
And you gotta assume there's more than one Vizsla, right? At this point, like it can't just be this Paz Vizsla. And all of them, I assume, have this sort of they feel like it's their earned right to have the Darksaber because it was their ancestor.
Yeah.
You know what? I think there's a Vizsla Vista out there. You know, like a whole
Asta
little
Vizsla?
family of Vizsla. The Vizsla Vista.
What's that car from that
They live in
70s
the
show?
past.
The
The wagon?
yeah,
Yeah.
It was something Vista, the Vista Cruiser,
The Vista
right?
Cruiser.
The
That was
Vista
it. Yes, give me a second. The Vista Cruiser.
All I can think
I
of
watched
is
that
Alta
90s
Vista.
show. It
Yeah.
was okay. I didn't mind it.
I liked it. Yeah, I think that's it. We talked. I think it's worth the watch. You guys think it's worth the watch, the first episode of this season?
You know, I never say that. I would just wait when it's out. I'll tell you if it's worth watching. When
Fair
the whole
enough.
thing is out, you know.
Hawk, do you think people should check this out?
Oh, most definitely. You know, you can't not have fun watching it and that. Like, we watched it here and that,
Watch me.
on the stream. I watched it on 4K, and that alligator fight alone looks so good on
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched it on projector, so I understand. Britt,
Yeah. Watch it with friends.
it's fun to watch it with friends.
It's
That's
just
why we have
fun.
watch
It's
parties.
just, it's Star Wars. So the thing is, if you're gonna watch Star Wars, you're gonna watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you can bitch about it after you've seen the season. Then you'll be like, "That wasn't up to par." That's fine.
Yeah.
But just watch it because it's Star Wars.
Definitely watch this, but watch the Book of Boba Fett, those 3 episodes first. Or
Yeah.
this is going to be,
Just those 3 episodes.
yeah, it's just worth it. Anyway, thank you guys. Chatting about The Mandalorian. We will be back in a week, maybe 2 weeks, about The Last of Us full season. Oh, man. We'll see.
We'll count every single time we cried, aka every single time I cried.
I'm going to edit us just crying.
Do a cry count where I'm
Cry.
like,
It's like ding, ding. Or it would be like a every time someone cries. It'll be funny.
surprisingly, not this episode.
Surprisingly. Just one episode we didn't cry at.
To be fair, episode 3 made me cry like 8 different times, so that bounces.
Only
checks
8?
out.
Episode 3.
Only it was like the whole time. Remember, I was like, I'm just crying the whole last half hour.
Oh my god. Anyway, thank you guys for coming and talking about The Mandalorian. Thank you guys out there for listening. We shall see you guys soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can .ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.